You've heard the adage, sharing is caring, right? Well, tonight, the Wizards took care of the ball and each other, able to walk away with a 127-113 victory over the Pacers, and Bradley Beal leading away with 32 points, knocking 4 from 5 down from deep. Both of his free throws. Oh, by the way, 6 assists, 4 boards, warranting the love from the fans, whether it's the Cherry Blossom or the Classic Edition. That's what it's all about. Shout out to 3, a.k.a. Panda Blue Magic, and our man, Real Deal Bill. Wes Hall here with Christy Winters-Scott on Postgame Live. Chris, Drew, and Megan will be joining us a little bit later. We got a jam-packed Postgame Live story just for you, just so you know. But, Christy, before we get into all that, I want your opinion. I know you were excited about the Wizards and closing out this homestand with a dub.
Well, we were talking about in the pregame show how important sharing the basketball would be tonight for Washington, and they did just that with 7 players in double-figure scoring. But the off-ball movement was where it was. We had to see that from them. They had to continue to fight in that second half. They've given up first half deficits, not tonight though. So you live and you learn. And Washington learned how to carry out a game for 4 quarters when they have a huge lead at halftime. And human nature tells you, well, okay, we're up and now we can kind of relax a little bit. There's no relaxing, right? They went out and finished the job that they set out to do, and they stayed on task on the defensive end first. And that's what it took to sustain their level of energy in that second half and come away with this huge win. I mean, they shot the leather off the ball in this game. They were shooting 70% early on in this contest and ended up shooting in the 60 percentile range. But they were knocking in those shots because of the ball movement and the off-ball movement, and that's so vitally important. The extra passes were being made. There was no selfish play whatsoever. Everyone was out there with the same purpose, and that was to win the game.
Christy, normally when I ask you questions, your first answer is defense. And I was surprised you didn't talk about the 7 blocks.
I said defense was where it was. They had to be on task on that side. But the 7 blocks, you know I love a good block.
I'm just saying.
Don't play with me now.
Gaff gave
Don't
you
play
4
with
of
me
them.
now. Gaff had 4, and he got busy down there. But that's what you have to do. And even the shots that Gaff didn't block or KP didn't block, they were disruptive.
Yes.
Okay? They pushed Indiana off the three-point line as well. They were a 46% three-point shooting team coming into this game, and they didn't get that tonight. Credit the defensive effort by Washington as a whole, but especially down in the paint with those 7 blocks.
Hey, you know who else was feeling the mojo tonight? Probably because his family was in the building. Monte Morris was showing out for his mom, but check it out. Monte Morris caught up with Glenn Consor, actually, here at Cap One Arena. So check it out.
Monte, first of all, congratulations. The efficiency offensively of this team tonight was remarkable. You missed the franchise record by 1 percentage point, shooting 64% from the field, 8 players in double figures. You were the guy running the show. You were the quarterback. You were the Mahomes this game. And what was your approach?
We just wanted to come out and establish our pace, our identity. We knew when we shared our ball, anything's possible. We got plenty of guys that can score, so we lock in on defense. The rest take care of itself, and we was out there having fun tonight.
You know, you think about how you guys scored tonight, going to the basket. You picked your spots beautifully, attacking the basket. But when you guys were sharing the basketball and moving it from side to side, the driving lanes open. Was that your goal?
Yeah, that was our goal. We know that there was a team that give up a lot of corner threes, so if we knew we could flatten out the defense and we shared the ball, it's contagious. And as you can see, we stepped up and made shots tonight.
There was a point in the second half when the Pacers went on a run. It seems like you guys took a couple of punches to the head, but you came back swinging as well. Just improving in so many different areas, mentally as well.
Yeah, I mean, we lost 2 games when we was up 20 points, so going into the locker room, that was the main focus, to just come out and learn from our mistakes, and I think we did that tonight. We kept our composure when they went on a run and showed our growth that we learning.
Another crazy efficient game for you, only 1 turnover. You've been really running the show beautifully. Go enjoy this one.
All right, appreciate it.
Give it up for Monte Morris.
As we bring in Chris and Drew, guys, first of all, good call on the night. Drew, my first question to you, not so much about the basketball side of it, but what he actually said, Monte said, we're having fun. Is that the difference maker for this team down the stretch?
Yeah, it's always fun until you lose a ball game, and then what do? Can you still continue to have fun? So I think this has just been a mindset for the Wizards, totally. It's been a mental approach to these games, and they have to be consistent in their thinking. Just because you win the first quarter doesn't mean you win the game. Just because you win the first half doesn't mean you win the game. It doesn't matter if you have a third quarter lead going into the fourth. You're not going to possibly win that game. And I think now they understand it. It took a couple hard lessons last week. I keep bringing those games up. But I think that was the determining factor on, what type of team are you going to be? Do you really want to win these ball games after losing these large leads? And it starts with a mentality approach right now, mental approach for this team. But any team in this league is hard to beat when you shoot 65% from the field and shoot 47% from three. I mean, the hardest thing, and we asked Russell Westbrook this, what's the hardest thing about getting a triple-double? And I thought it was the rebounding part. No, he said it's the assist because it's up to the team. It's up to my teammates to make the shot. And tonight, you wouldn't have had 32 assists if they weren't making shots.
I love that. Chris, you're silent. What in the world is going on with you, Chris? Enough said?
I was just sitting here enjoying all the analysis. I mean, I'll just say something real brief because I still got to pack and go to San Francisco.
True.
I think the shot distribution tonight should be noted. It's the first thing I looked at on the stat sheet. Beal had 18 shots. Morris took 10 shots. Corey Kispert took 9. And then everybody else kind of just fell in line. Nunn had 8. Denny had 8. So I think just how the shot chart looked in terms of who was taking the shots and when they took those shots led to the reason why they had, 32 assists tonight? That's how they won the ball game. And then I think Drew called it in the third quarter. When Wes Unseld called that timeout, I would have probably called it before they hit that 3 to make it a 10-0 run when they scored those first 7. But that's when you cuss them out.
Yeah.
You say what you got to say. Brad said it to Megan. He said, he got into us a little bit. And I think that kind of woke up Washington.
Gentlemen, I appreciate the analysis as well. Chris, safe travels to you guys. I want to go to Megan, who is courtside down with the landlord who is serving eviction notices all night tonight.
And
also has some jewelry on, if you guys can see. Chris picked up on
that
it.
man.
That man coming to confiscate. You can't pay rent. He coming for collateral.
How do you think the belt got paid for?
Take it away for sure, Megan.
So, Gaff, they're talking about, obviously, your block shots. You have 4 tonight. It's something that you have continuously done all season long. And I know that I've asked you about this before, but for viewers who may be unfamiliar, just your timing when it comes to the way that you are able to block shots and know where the ball is kind of going. Just talk about how you see things defensively.
Really just, like I always say, just protecting home. Just staying on the back end, being the anchor of the defense, and just really trying to just kind of like alter shots and just protecting the basket, really, because there's a lot of guys that get downhill in this league. It's a lot of guys that set good screens to get their guys downhill. So being in the position and being there in the right time to be able to, alter shots or send shots, to the stands and stuff like that is just something that really just gets me going. It helps with the momentum of the team, gets us flowing, and just helps us out defensively. So, it's my job, and I do my job well. So.
Offensively, you guys shared the ball beautifully tonight. You heard Chris talking about the shot distribution. Just what was it tonight that things were just clicking at a very high and efficient rate on the offensive end for everyone?
With a team like this, we knew that they were going to kind of like ramp up the energy and stuff coming out in the second half and whatnot, and sharing the ball is just something that we had to really just focus on because, they were a heavy nail team. They made sure they rotated and everything and just made sure they took care of their guys on the back end defensively for themselves, and just making sure we shared the ball and stuff is just something that we had to do to be able to beat these guys tonight because they're a fast-paced team. They get the ball out quick, and whatever when it comes to like around the rim offensively for us, we just have to make sure we spray it out because they really collapse in around the basket and stuff. And just being in that position, we just got to find guys on the perimeter and whatnot. And we shared the ball tonight, and that's something that we have to continue doing to be able to, withstand these wins, withstand these teams that come out with high energy, throwing the first punch, and so on and so forth.
This was a position that, unfortunately, you guys had been in before against Portland and against Brooklyn. You were up big going into the locker room. And obviously, we know those games did not go in your favor. What was different this time around, knowing that this was also a team that has come back from 10-plus double-digit deficits to win games?
Just being in a position to where, like, we were in the same position last time we played these guys, and they kind of did the same thing to us when we went to Indiana. And Coach West, he came in and he wrote on the board, NFLU, he just no effing let up, and that was just like the main message. Don't come out and just, kind of like lay back and let these guys roll over us because they're going to come out with energy. They're going to come out and amp up everything, physicality, energy, their talk, everything. And just main thing we had to do is just stay poised and just keep playing our game that we played in the first half.
Christy's got a question from you in studio.
Okay.
Daniel, what is the guard your yard mentality that you bring to the floor, and how do you really facilitate that kind of mentality and that thinking to your teammates? How does that trickle through the locker room?
I mean, just with the energy side of it, just being in a position to where, making sure my guy doesn't score, or making sure I'm in a position to block shots and alter stuff, just having energy with that, and I make sure that I scream after basically everything. I try to, shake my head, do something that's, something that'll make it seem like that I'm trying to amp the momentum up, and just be in a position to where, like, we're happy and having fun defensively and offensively. And the main thing with that is just, me doing my job.
Hey, Gaff, it's Wes again. You and I have talked about this a couple of times the other day. You said you were going to try to get your wife to come out and get that pregame lump. How close are we to making that a reality, my friend?
We are getting there. She really takes her time getting to the arena. She's standing right here beside me right now, actually. She really takes her time getting to the arena.
Yes.
She always blames it on traffic, but I know she just be taking forever getting ready,
Well, tell her.
Hey, be careful now, Valentine's Day.
Tell her we are ready. We are so ready whenever she is ready. And matter of fact, there might have a chance on the other side of the All-Star break back home. I think that'd be plenty of time for everyone to be available.
She's been working on it. I talked to her as well, too, in the tunnel earlier. We're working on it.
Yeah, we are working on it. Look, she's looking at me right now.
You have to be careful, buddy.
This is DC.
Valentine's Day coming up.
We're good on lobbying around these parts.
Mess up, Gaff.
Yeah, I got you.
I love this. Megan and Gaff, we appreciate it. Go ahead, Megan.
Appreciate it. Wes, back to you in the studio.
Appreciate that. All hands on deck trying to make this happen. Christy, we got to do this. We have to do this. But let's get back to tonight's game. Let's get back to tonight's game. And more importantly, that third quarter. You and I sat here at halftime.
We did.
And I gave you that look, and you were like, don't say it.
I was like, don't put it in the atmosphere,
But
Wes.
Drew and I both were on the same page. You learn your lessons. It is foolish to not apply previous knowledge. So we moved into wisdom and said, how do they do it? And like you said, even though it was a couple seconds late, Coach was able to cut off the water of that moment, of that rush.
Well, you have to do that, right? When the momentum swings, it's a feel. It's a rhythm. When you call those timeouts, they're very necessary just to recalibrate, get yourselves back into focus, and I think that's what Wes Unseld Jr. did in that moment. It was a 10-0 run for Indiana, and that can happen, and then you feel like, as a player, like, oh, man, here we go again. We had this happen before, but is it here we go again? It's here we go again. Now we can do something about it, and I think what happened with Washington, what they did about it, was focus on their intention on the defensive end. And I thought it was just fantastic because they got consecutive stops after that. They went on a 6-0 run of their own after that and took control back in that game. But it started on the defensive end. So you have to credit Wes Unseld Jr. for getting them recalibrated at that point of the game, but also credit the players for executing. He could have called that timeout, and they still could have faltered and allowed Indiana to continue to have the momentum, but they didn't. They had pride in that moment. They said it happened before, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again, and they put their foot down and kept their foot on the gas pedal on both sides of the court. And you love to see that continuity.
That's what it's about. Continuity, consistency, and communication. That's what it's all about. Speaking of the communication side of it, here we are with head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the post-game podium. I know he's got to talk about that second half.